What is going on, YouTube people? It must be 2021 again because Anthony Edwards charts and graphs look like we are in peak pandemic pricing right now. I am recording this on Thursday evening, so he has not played in game 3 yet of the Timberwolves Nuggets series, but he is looking like a monster. Had a very good season and then just went absolutely crazy once the playoffs have started, have put the Nuggets in an 0-2 hole they did that in Denver while they were in Denver at altitude. They made them look like crap. They dominated them. I own no Anthony Edwards cards. The FOMO machine was running wild for me during and after game 1. I closed the laptop and ran away. I unplugged the charger. I hid it from myself, everything. It was getting real bad. But little did I know prices were only going to soar even more after game 2. And he is getting a lot of national media pump, justifiably so. But Bill Simmons specifically, I hinted at or mentioned this on the weekly market update last week. He's been rolling out this narrative, and it makes a lot of sense that, Anthony Edwards could be the next face of the NBA way sooner than we all thought. If he slays the dragon in Joker and makes a run for the NBA Finals, where, if they assuming they get past this round, they're going to get either Dallas or OKC next round. Most likely OKC, the way that series has been going, but we'll see. I don't think the Timberwolves will have any problems with either one of those two teams. And then they are, barring something crazy happen, going to get the Celtics coming out of the East. And I don't know that I trust the Celtics, especially against this Timberwolves team. They look fantastic. They're playing defense at an insane level. Their bench is deep. Remember Nickeil Alexander-Walker, once a hobby darling, speaking of peak pandemic. He's like a key player off their bench. This team is really, really good, and Anthony Edwards is looking the part. So, anyways, Simmons kind of lays out this theory of, he makes this run, wins the NBA championship, and then that's going to lead him straight into the Summer Olympics, and he's going to walk in there with all his swagger and then potentially lead them to a gold medal. Now, all of a sudden, next thing you know, Giannis who, Tatum who, Luka who, Devin Booker who, SGA who. Oh, Anthony Edwards is younger and better, and he plays both ends of the court because he's a monster on the defensive end as well. So the script is there. Whether or not they will walk down that path, that is yet to be seen. But regardless, he has put himself on the map. The other angle, too, is he is a fantastic interview. The dude is hilarious. He is great off the court. People love him and his nonsense. He's running around doing DX chops, being hilarious in interviews. I mean, total package. Total package. And his card prices are going absolutely insane. You look at the chart on the screen, that looks like some 2021 nonsense. That looks like, I feel like I am doing a video in February of 2021, maybe late 2020, and Bull just dropped 30 in garbage time. And this is his Silver Prism chart, because that's what it used to be like back in the day. That's what this feels like right now. Obviously, this is on a much larger scale and with a premier player, but we have not seen, I cannot tell you the last time we have seen price craziness like this on an existing star player. Anthony Edwards was a star NBA player. But I have not seen someone pop off like this since the pandemic in a while. Can you think of anyone that has gone this crazy? This is his chart since January 1st. The light blue is his Silver Prism. It is up 200%. Now, we've seen cards go up 200% in value, but it's usually like $50 and it goes up to, I don't know, 150, 200, whatever it is. It's the smaller scale stuff where someone pops out of nowhere. But someone that is already at, a $600, $700, $800 on a Silver Prism or like kind of their mainline rookie card, for that to double to $1,500, $1,600, I feel like we haven't seen that in a while. I guess a viewer sent me an email about Anthony Edwards topic, asking if I was going to do a video on it. And I said, I was planning on it. I just hadn't gotten to it yet because of the PSA news and Bowman and all that nonsense. And the one name that he threw out, and I agree, Ohtani. Ohtani, when he went on that mega run after the home run derby and stuff in that summer, that's the only thing I could think of that comes close. But this is on a whole different stage. We're in the NBA playoffs right now, and they are beating the crap out of the Joker and have a path. I don't want to say cleared, but the path, you could see it. If they get past Denver, they can beat anybody. I mean, clearly. So let's run these down just really quickly. I have a silver prism up here, PSA 10, PSA 9, optic hollow, PSA 10, and a base prism. Autos, everyone always asks, why don't you use autos? The problem is that one, they sell at weird intervals. A lot of like contenders autos are numbered and there's weird variations, and it's just, they're all in different grades. It makes it a real pain to kind of show price movement like this. But just needless to say, anything with Anthony Edwards' face on it is going to the moon. There's a rocket ship and his face is sticking out the window of it. Base prism. Remember those? Remember base rookie cards? People still want them apparently, up 315% in a PSA 10. Pop 3,200 on those. Silver PSA 10, $1,600, up 200%. Optic hollow, up 100%, just under $500. And a silver PSA 9 sitting around 400, also up 200%. Let's take it a step further. Not only are his singles going to the moon, he is moving the wax market. This is 2020 optic retail and prism retail boxes. They kind of look like a hobby box, but they're a much smaller scale. And optic hobby and prism hobby boxes as well. This is also since January 1st. Optic retail boxes up 30%. I actually have a couple of those stashed behind me. Prism hobby up 51%. Prism retail box up 110%. Optic hobby box up 20%. And you could see, if we just shorten this up to like the last 30 days, that's where all your movement's coming from. They were up 30%, 40%, 121%, 15%. And all those are angling up as he is now driving the market for sealed wax as well. If you have 2020 sealed basketball wax laying around, you're probably feeling pretty good today, as everyone is scrambling for it to chase Anthony Edwards. I have no Anthony Edwards cards. I missed the boat completely on this one. Got nothing. I got absolutely nothing. Now, I was always on. People would always ask me when the 2020 stuff came out, because that's the LaMelo Ball class. It was LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards, and a lot of people like LaMelo Ball. And the one thing that I was always adamant about was I will take Anthony Edwards 10 times out of 10 on LaMelo Ball. I didn't buy either one of them, so who the hell am I to sit here and say? But I was definitely on the record saying Ant-Man over LaMelo. I was never a fan of LaMelo Ball. So now the question is what do you do? What do you do? Do you hold until the finals, to the Western Conference Finals? This is making some assumptions that he gets through Denver. Do you just sell now because you're probably up, depending on when you bought? I'm curious, actually, what was the all-time high on his silver prism? It was much higher when the product first released, not surprising. 2K, but we're talking about a handful of sales. Looks like it's sat at pretty close to where it's at now, 1.5. The first sale listed here is 1.5, a few others in the 1.5 range. There are some higher, 1.6, 1.7. This is all very late 2021, when there wasn't a ton on the pop report yet. And then you could see it took its dive heading into 2022, like most of the sports card market, and then kind of leveled out. Where did we level out at? Around $800, and then it kind of settled into its new norm. These were easily available for $500 for a long period of time. They might have spiked up. I think they were at $600 during parts of the season, and now you're at $1,600, and the boat has left you behind. So what do you do? What do you do? We got the let you buy them back. Don't ever forget about it. The don't get cute, all the little fun sayings that we have around the channel. There is no easy answer to this. This is going to depend on everybody's individual unique situation. Did you buy Anthony Edwards because you thought his stuff was going to go up to air quote make a play on it? If you bought his silver prisms for 600 and you could sell them for 1600 today, that's pretty tempting. What do we think the ceiling on his silver prism is? If he goes on and wins an NBA championship, how much higher does it get? There will probably be more supply coming to market, which is going to hold prices back a little bit. Now, if he comes out and he just keeps destroying people, but people are going to start cracking and crossing. People that have been sitting on Anthony Edwards is going to start bringing it to market if they haven't already. And then it'll just depend on how he performs from here. Do you have one Anthony Edwards cards? Do you have multiples? Is he your PC guy? These are all, every individual person is going to have a different approach. Generally speaking, over the years, we have seen when things like this happen is usually when you should be at least considering selling. This is one of those times where if I would be praying I had multiples of whatever it is that I had, or just multiple Anthony Edwards cards, even if they weren't the same one. If you have a bunch of his stuff, this is the time where you sit down and you take inventory of what you have, and you start figuring out what are the things that you want to move off of. If you have a bunch of PSA 9s of something and they're way up, maybe you move off of those. You start covering your air quote expenses a little bit. If you're into him at a relatively reasonable price, which honestly you probably are, unless you bought like the first couple months after release. If you bought any time after that, this is one of the few times, I'll pull it back up on this all data chart. As long as you didn't buy in the first, what are we looking at? Maybe 6 months of release, you're probably up. Because after that, it very quickly settled into about a $900 card. So even if you bought in early 2022 at $900 and you're, in the mid-season, you're like, man, this thing's down to $500. I am taking it in the face on this. Now you're up $400 or $500 if you can get 1600 for it. So keep that in mind as well. This is one of the few times that, at least in recent memory, kind of since the reset, where most people are probably up on his stuff. Like at least, I don't know, 75 to 80% of people are probably up on his cards if they bought them, anytime in the last year. You're way up. So you have to think about locking in some of those profits. If you got a couple of his cards, move the more common stuff, even silver prisms. If you got something numbered, color match, autographed, whatever, that's the stuff I'd be holding on to and moving off of my other stuff. Sit down, take inventory, figure out which ones you're truly attached to, or which ones you want to ride or die with, or which ones you want to risk it on. Because no matter what, as much as he looks fantastic and the narrative is that he's the next face of the thing, and people are saying Michael Jordan 2.0 and all this craziness, we all know in sports that could change on a dime in a second. So this is the point where you have to look in the mirror and figure out what balance you want to take, what works for you as an individual. Everyone's financial situation is different. Everyone's in it for different ends. There is no necessarily wrong answer here. Maybe you hold the flip, and now you fell in love with the player and you want to ride it out because you want to have a fun experience having a nice Anthony Edwards card to, root for during the finals and the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals and see if he can win a chip. 100% valid. Maybe you bought at 500 and you're looking to cash out at 1600. Never go broke taking a profit. And they do let you buy them back. Maybe you're going to split the difference and sell some stuff off now and sell some off later. Said it before. Buying is the easiest thing in the world. Going out there and clicking bin on something when you got a little bit of FOMO, or you fall in love with a player, or something happens, or you get hyped up on something, it's the simplest thing to do to log on to eBay, get on Instagram, whatever it is, and click buy. Here's some money. Send me a card. You don't sweat those decisions very often. Unless it's a big purchase, how many times do you sit there and sweat out, whether or not you should click bin or place an auction bid on something at a reasonable number? Assume it's nothing crazy. But on the flip side, selling, that's when you're in your keep. That's the tough part. Knowing when to sell, or not even necessarily knowing when to sell, just being able to make the decision sometimes is the hardest part. Even though large part of you will know this is the right time to sell X, Y, or Z thing. And you just can't do it. You just don't want to pull the trigger on it because you're afraid you're going to leave money on the table. It's at 1,600. What if it goes to 2,000? What if it goes to 2,500? What if, the Bill Simmons prediction becomes true and he's the face of the NBA? He's the guy everyone's chasing. What if it's 2,500, 3,000? Could that happen? Yeah, it's on a whiteboard somewhere. Do I think it happens? Probably not. Even if he becomes the face of the NBA, I think there's still a cap on how high his stuff could go just because he is a modern era player and there's so much inventory out there even in 2020. So take that information in, make whatever decision works best for you. If you're an Anthony Edwards holder, curious for your thoughts and comments down below. If you don't have any, did you FOMO into something? Did you almost FOMO into something? Curious for your thoughts down below. Are you buy, sell, hold? What are you doing? I think Dallas is in a week or two. That's going to be a wild time. If Anthony Edwards keeps winning, Dallas could be a feeding frenzy for his stuff. By the time it gets to the National, he actually could cool down a little bit. Because it's going to be past. We're going to be in the heat of NFL at that point in time. So it'll be a very interesting price to follow over the next couple of weeks. I think there's a decent chance it could get over 2K. Could go higher. They could lose a couple games. The next thing you know, it's coming back down again. Catch you boys and girls on the next one. Peace.